addictions, echo chambers, and the impacts on mental health. These are just a few of the ways social media algorithms are shaping our daily lives. From the endless scroll to the constant notifications, these platforms are designed to keep us hooked, often trapping us in cycles of content that reinforce our beliefs, isolating us from other viewpoints. But what does that mean for our mental well-being? Today, we're diving into how these algorithms not only shape what we see, but how we think. And more importantly, what you can do to break free from their grip. Are you being controlled by the algorithm, or would you rather use the algorithm to your advantage? If you watch until the end of the video, you will find out how you can control the algorithm rather than allowing it to control you. Pretty much an algorithm is a procedure or set of rules that's followed in calculations by a computer in order to solve a problem. Now, why do big tech companies use algorithms? The problem to be solved is what content would individuals want to watch most. The goal is pretty much to keep you online as long as possible. An argument can be made that there are types of content that they prefer you to watch, and that would be anything that wouldn't hurt their pockets. So obviously there are some cons, and that's what we're going to dive into this video, but we will also talk about a few of the pros about these algorithms. And that's that one of the pros is that social media algorithms can make your online experience smoother by delivering content you actually care about. They personalize your feed based on your preferences, whether you're into travel, tech, or other niche hobbies. So you see more of what you love. This tailored experience boosts engagement, which is why you keep scrolling, finding content that resonates with you. Another benefit, it's an efficient way to discover new content. Without algorithms, sifting through endless posts would be overwhelming. And for businesses or creators, algorithms can help reach the right audience faster, promoting growth and better engagement. Chances are that if this is the first time you're finding my channel, it would be thanks to the algorithm. You are interested in these kind of topics, and while we're at it, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. Now, there are 5 main cons that I've noticed with algorithms. And the first one is addiction and overconsumption. Social media algorithms are designed to keep you scrolling for longer, which can lead to unhealthy habits. Platforms track your likes, comments, and shares to keep feeding you content that's hard to resist. This can cause addictive behavior, where you find yourself spending hours on social media without realizing it. Over time, this leads to a loss of productivity, poorer mental health, and even a dependency on online validation, causing emotional burnout. Number 2 is echo chambers and tribalism. Algorithms push you towards content that aligns with your current beliefs. Over time, this creates an echo chamber where you only see opinions and ideas that you already agree with. This can limit your exposure to diverse perspectives and reduce critical thinking. Instead of being challenged by new viewpoints, you become more entrenched in your own, which can polarize societies, make civil discourse more difficult, and distort your understanding of complex issues. Now, I have witnessed these polarizing online communities in the comic book and Star Wars part of the internet, as well as the more obvious political part of the internet. With Star Wars, for example, there is a whole market for content creators to make hate videos about the latest news about Star Wars. And I get it. People want the best quality in the shows and movies that they watch. And there are certainly plenty of evidence to show how some studio execs like to implement their own social political agendas and opinions in movies and shows at the expense of the story's quality. I myself don't really care much for Star Wars, but I was a big Marvel Cinematic Universe fan and can understand how frustrating it can be when the latest movies are not living up to the expectations of good quality popcorn flicks. At the same time, not only can viewing this negative online content become addicting, but it becomes an obsession and certain ideologies get radicalized and become irrational. And this can happen on any side, whether it be the more conservative or liberal side. And even within those, I have witnessed factions breaking apart, creating smaller, more radicalized echo chambers that lack enough objectivity. It's not as simple as just right versus left viewpoints. Each new major news story has the potential to create further division within even those two factions. For example, I have seen what started out as the Bernie movement split dozens of times since 2016, with those wanting to support other politicians or their favorite online commentators. All of this is most likely because of algorithms feeding people what will unconsciously satisfy their biases. And that's what gives them comfort. It doesn't help that online there's also some troll farms or trolls that try to instigate and further radicalize people's ideologies, give people certain confirmation biases, or just try to fearmonger people into supporting some kind of narrative or to radicalize their ideology. What I have personally noticed is that if they're not working to fearmonger liberals into supporting the Democrats or fearmonger conservatives into supporting Republicans, there are certain bots that may try to, or not even just bots. I've noticed that there are narratives or people, even high profile people, that start to push out certain narratives to try to fishhook people into supporting Republicans, or to fishhook people into going back to supporting Democrats. And of course, I'm speaking for in the US at least. I have observed some of this stuff occurring. I mean, every 4 years we see, oh, this side is going to be worse. No, that side is going to be worse. That's why you need to vote for them. When in the end, nothing really fundamentally changes. And we see the same thing that would have happened with a Republican or a Democrat happens when the other side is in office. But it's just different tactics are used. The end goal is still the same. Make the funders or the lobbyists richer. Number 3 is misinformation. Because algorithms prioritize content with engagement, misinformation can spread like wildfire. Sensational or false information tends to provoke more emotional reactions, leading to likes, shares, and comments, which increases visibility. Algorithms don't differentiate between fact and fiction. They just amplify what gets the most attention. This can cause a serious problem where people believe false narratives, contributing to widespread confusion and distrust in important topics like health, politics, or science. Additionally, the type of news content several social media sites like to promote most appear to be mainstream news sources or channels with the most subscribers or followers. Remember, I mentioned earlier how there are types of content that big tech companies may prefer you to watch, and that would be anything that would not hurt their pockets. That is something we should be conscious of as we browse the internet. This is not to say that mainstream outlets owned by billionaires should never be trusted, but they also shouldn't always be trusted. And you should have this mentality towards any source that you come across. These channels, whether it be mainstream or independent, have their biases or may make mistakes and get things wrong sometimes. I also encourage you to be aware of who funds some of these outlets or some of these individuals who may present themselves to appear independent, or if they are trying to cater towards a specific audience that will help them gain more money. Bottom line, you need to amplify your critical thinking and not just believe everything coming from certain sources, even if they have gotten things right sometimes. Number 4 is privacy and data concerns. Algorithms rely on collecting massive amounts of data about you, your browsing history, interactions, and even locations. While this improves personalization, it raises major concern about privacy. Social media companies have been criticized for using data in ways that users didn't explicitly consent to, including sharing it with third parties or using it to target ads. In some cases, this data can be misused for manipulation or even sold, putting your personal information at risk. If we consider some of the origins of major social media sites, which are tied to surveillance and pre-crime, how these sites give device makers access to data on users, and the influence three-letter agencies have on these major platforms, it is definitely cause for concern how algorithms collect our data. And this also ties into how algorithms may push out certain content and information that favor these three-letter agencies. Number 5 is impact on mental health. The constant stream of tailored content can also negatively impact mental health. Social comparison is intensified when you're consistently exposed to carefully curated posts from others, making you feel inadequate or like you're missing out. The fear of missing out, or FOMO, gets amplified as one browses through these sites and sees friends or acquaintances hanging out. Plus, the pressure to engage and keep up with the algorithm can lead to anxiety, stress, or even depression. Algorithms can also promote negative content such as doom scrolling or extremist views, which can further harm your mental well-being. Now, what can you do about it? How can you use the algorithm to your advantage? The first thing you can do is to start watching more educational content. Cut the mindless stuff out, cut the brain rot stuff out. Algorithms are trained to feed you more of what you engage with. So by choosing content that helps you grow, whether it's educational, motivational, or even skill building, you'll start seeing more of that and less of the mindless or brain rot scrolling material. But don't stop there. Start questioning the content that you consume. Why am I seeing this? Is it actually informative or just triggering an emotional response? This kind of critical thinking puts the power back in your hands. Also, ask yourself, am I stuck in an echo chamber? Algorithms love to keep you in your comfort zone by showing you more of what you already agree with. Challenge yourself to explore different perspectives and break out of that bubble. It's not just about using social media, it's about using it in a way that benefits you. You don't have to have an Instagram or a Facebook to stay up to date with friends. It is far more intimate and personal, at least in my opinion, to just text them or call them. Nowadays, these sites seem to be better for growing businesses than for keeping in touch with friends anyway. I myself don't have an Instagram. I barely use Facebook. I really just have it there for family and close friends. Finally, take breaks. It's definitely important to stay informed about what's happening in the world, but too much of that in one day takes a toll on your emotional health. There is only so much you can do, and things will not change overnight. Gradually, you will become more informed, and you will learn not only what the best solutions may be for these problems, but how to also engage with other people and inform them without making it toxic. Because the more informed our society is, the closer we get to solving all these global problems. But we cannot do that if the discourse is toxic. So that's why it's important for you to learn effective ways of how you can communicate with people and inform them, and also to question yourself and your own beliefs so that you don't remain dogmatic and wrong about certain issues. You have to be open to growing and learning. If you really care about changing the world for the better, and trust me, I know how frustrating the current state of the world feels, then you have to watch this video here on 3 mistakes to avoid if you want to improve the world. And if you feel like these social media sites are lowering your self-esteem, then here are 6 proven ways in which you can boost it back up. Thanks for watching.